Row crop farmers, farmland owners, and beginning farmers are increasingly curious about soil health. Integrating grazing ruminants ramps up soil health, and the feed value of cover crops can often offset the added cost of planting them. Livestock can also utilize a small grain in rotation or perennials planted on more marginal row crop fields. This video is one in a series through the Minnesota Institute for Sustainable Agriculture's Endowed Chair in Agricultural Systems. Troy and Beth Severson raise corn, soybeans, and hay on rolling land and manage their cow-calf herd of Horned Herefords on their Grandview Farm and Ranch near Belmond, Iowa. The farm has been in the family since 1914. Their son Knute and daughter-in-law Amanda purchased the steers to finish on grass and market through their Grandview Beef enterprise. Son Harborjack was welcomed to the crew in 2020. The Seversons tell us how their two operations enable a young family to get a start, improve the economics for both families, leave the land in even better shape for future generations, and provide flavorsome food for customers to enjoy.
We raise Horned Hereford cattle along with corn and soybeans and hay here in Wright County, Iowa. We've been in the cow-calf business about 25 years.
I probably have more to do with the planting on the row crop, and he does more of the planting on the hay, pasture, cow-calf. But it's a team effort, so we both participate that way. Having our children back with a grass-fed outlet is giving us a new look at a market for our calves.
Steer calves, yeah.
Yep, for our steer calves, and that's helped. It's taken a lot of the guesswork out of that, what the cattle are going to be, and we can plan around that a little bit more, knowing that they have an outlet for it that's a pretty steady market. We're actively trying to convert more corn and bean acres to hay pasture for our cow-calf operation, and that is because it is feasible.
What do you enjoy about raising cattle in pasture?
Well, it's a lot more rewarding in the spring to watch a new white-faced calf blink his eyes and draw his first breath than it is to see a corn plant stick its nose out of the ground. For me, anyway. I know it's not that way for everybody, but for me it is.
We enjoy getting outside and being active and taking care of livestock. This is God's land, and we feel like that's about the best we can do for it with that rotation and make a living at the same time. So we feel pretty blessed that way.
What would you say to neighbors with marginal cornfields about integrating grazing cattle?
It's a good option, good alternative, good for the soil, good for the environment, good for the soul.
Yep. Labor intensive, but yep. it will pay you back.
Yeah, rewarding.
It's very rewarding in more ways than just that economical way. So.
Knute and Amanda talk about managing and selling grass-finished beef products through Grandview Beef.
We own Grandview Beef.
We raise 100% grass-fed beef and sell it directly to the end consumer. We were both interning for the Seattle Seahawks in Washington, and Knute grew up on the Century family farm. I didn't grow up around agriculture at all, but we saw how much the beef was selling for in Washington, and especially the grass-fed. It was getting a much higher price, so we were interested in doing that here. And when we moved back, we raised 6 as grass-fed and 6 as corn-fed, and we were just really impressed with the grass-fed. Not only how happy and healthy the animals were, but the flavor, the tenderness of the beef, and then it was selling a lot better with the customers. So we chose ultimately to raise grass-fed.
So we do 2 different pastures. What we're standing on right now is 32 acres, and this is all intensively rotationally grazed. So it's used in 2-acre paddocks. We'll move anywhere from 64 to 72 head this past year, every 24 hours on 2 acres at a time. And then we have one 22-acre pasture on the back side of this farm that is, I guess you could say, a sacrifice pasture. Per se, to give the paddock system a break.
What benefits do you see from grazing cattle in rotated pastures?
Well, in terms of the bovine side of things, they're a heck of a lot healthier animals. When we did the 6 and 6, as Amanda said earlier, we had problems with bloat.
With the corn fed.
With the corn fed, just inactivity. They just weren't quite as healthy. We had more vet costs. With the grass fed, they pretty much take care of themselves. There's not a whole lot of issues. In terms of the land itself, there's numerous benefits. The productivity when we started doing rotational grazing was through the roof of what we had done in terms of grazing in the past. It's introduced all kinds of organic matter and nutrients back into the soil. It's amazing once you move those animals, you can see right where the cow pies are, where they deposit their manure. You have a spot that size where the grass is 4 to 6 inches taller and darker green, so it's pretty cool to see firsthand.
We had the cattle get out once of this pasture, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, but they got into our yard, and for the next month there was grass that was way taller because they had deposited their manure on our grass next to our house. So we had all these different cow pie spots with tall grass.
Yep.
How do neighbors respond to your operation?
You have a lot of people say, "What are you doing that for? Is that successful? Does it taste good?" And usually, regardless of your answer, they say, "Oh, okay." So.
But it's fun. We love it. We love doing
Absolutely.
something different, and it's certainly something that people like to come and see.